It's time for a quick shout out to some of our friends. The Old School Mini Bikes and Parts Facebook group. The Strictly Vintage Mini Bikes and Go-Karts Facebook group. The All About Mini Bikes Facebook page. Genuine New Old Stock Vintage Parts. The Vintage Snowmobile podcast. And the Muscle Car Show and Tell podcast. Ben Thomas is your independent AMSOIL dealer. Click the link in the description for your free AMSOIL catalog, or scan the QR code to earn the deepest discount by becoming a preferred customer. To advertise with Ben's Vintage Mini Bike podcast, the Vintage Snowmobile podcast, or the Muscle Car Show and Tell podcast, please reach out to Ben or Mike for more information. Details in the description of this video.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Vintage Mini Bike Lovers podcast. I'm really glad you're here with us. We have a great show planned here tonight, and we've got guest Jeff Mihalko coming on with us, and Jeff's a very knowledgeable individual in the field. He does the Vintage Mini Bike Reunion in Windber, PA. He's got an awesome collection of Rups and Articats and other bikes. We're going to have a great time talking with Jeff tonight. I'd like to bring in my good friend Mike LaPierre and co-host. Hi, Mike.
Hey there. How you doing tonight?
How's everything going?
Can't complain. Enjoying what's left of the summer here.
Excellent. It's been a hot one for sure. And, you and I first met doing the Snowmobile podcast this past winter. And I'm really grateful to you, Mike, for collaborating with me on this project. It's been a lot of fun. And I'm really excited about that. I'm going to bring our good friend Rob in. Hello, Rob.
How you doing?
Excellent.
Took me a long time to get on, but I'm here.
Excellent. I'm glad you're here. I was just wanted to thank you too, Rob, for collaborating with us on this podcast. This is episode number 3, and I'm really excited about that. We've got a great show here planned tonight, and you add so much to the equation. We're going to be seeing some great bikes and whatnot. So I know we've got some comments that are starting to come in. If you can see the podcast, if you can hear me, please give us a comment. Make sure that this is coming through clearly. I don't want you to miss any bit of it.
Yeah, we do have some people in the house. We have Whit Pearson watching us on YouTube tonight saying, hope everyone is having a great evening.
Awesome.
We appreciate that. Also, Keith Zebreg says, what's up, guys? And he's here from Ohio. And also our mutual friend to all of us, Rich Shad, Rich Shad is in the house saying good evening.
That's good to see you here, Rich, as well. I saw Rich the other night at a snowmobile show the other day, and our good friend Bud Gordon was there from New Hampshire. Mike.
Oh, no kidding. Mutual friend to all of us. Outstanding. And Ben Adim is in the house from Camden, New York. I believe that's your son.
That's Eric. Thank you for coming, Eric.
Outstanding. Just a couple more here, and we'll get right to the meat of the biscuit, so to speak. James Kais is in the house from he's saying hello to everyone. Also, John Love is here saying hello from Pennsylvania.
Excellent. Glad you could join us. All right. Well, without any further ado, I'll bring our guest in.
Hello, everybody.
Hello,
everybody.
Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. I'm glad to be here. See some friends are online already, watching us. So hopefully we have a good day here.
Awesome. You have been in this hobby for a long, long time. And we were talking a little bit ago about what got you started riding with some of your friends. So maybe tell the viewers really how you got started in mini bikes way back when.
Well, that's a long story. I was probably five years old. Grew up here on a farm, and we had, my job at that point was to check the fences, make sure the fences were up for the cattle, and didn't like walking it. It was too much when you're 5 years old to walk the fence and check it. And so we wanted a mini bike. We wanted a mini bike. So after a little while, we finally got a 1970 Arctic Cat SSS Cat. So I could, run the fence line with that. It was a whole lot easier, saved me a lot of time. And that's what got me started. The Arctic Cat dealer was 5 miles out the road, and we bought an Arctic Cat. So brought that home, broke it every couple of days, and just used it and abused it. Several years later, got put away in the barn, came out of the barn, and we, started life, started moving on, found the bike in the barn, restored it. And then after I restored it, started taking that bike to car shows. Stuff started showing up, hey, I got this in my garage. I got this in my garage. My grandfather used to be a dealer. All these different stories would come out. And, so followed up on all those leads. And now I got a massive collection of mini bikes and parts and supplies and making stuff for them. And, it's been a great hobby, kept in touch with lot of neat friends, a lot of neat people who've, come into this hobby. We started the mini bike reunion. We just, it's all been a big long circle. So it's great. We love it.
You're absolutely correct about the hobby. And, that's the vintage collectibles, whether we're talking about cars, snowmobiles, tractors, trucks, we're talking about people with the same interests, when you find out in these hobbies that we're not all that different after all. And that's what's so nice about it. It brings people together. We need more of that. So I'm really glad that, you agree just opening up your property for the reunion, we'll talk a little bit more about that down in the show when we get to that point. But that's really very generous of you and your family to really do that and really to help support the hobby. And I know I've not been able to get there myself to your place, but I know so many people that do, and it's got such a great vibe. Everyone really looks forward to it. And you have had people coming there for years now, right? Past season was 24th year.
Yeah, that was the 24th year. So next year, June 20th will be the 25th year for it. So we're starting to gear up for that with some different ideas already.
Excellent. Well, hey, how about we go into a little bit of show and tell, and we'll see your collection, and we'll play this video, and then we'll get back on the other side and we'll talk about some of it.
Sounds great.
I'll call you in an hour. I'm just doing the Zoom.
Yeah, there you go. Some beautiful mini bikes right there.
Very nice.
Well, it's been a long time collecting that. You're gonna see a lot of different things in there. You started out with the Rupp collection. There was a little Rupp chopper there. Restored that bike many years ago. The green Rupp Roadster that you've seen in there, that bike was built off the shelf. The frame has been repainted, the gas tank has been painted, but everything else on the green bike is all new old stock parts. Every every nut and bolt came out of a wrapper. Um, and it's got all the options on it. It's got the Delorto carb, it's got the pipe, it's got the speedometer, it's got the windshield, the rear luggage rack. I have the mirrors for it, but I don't keep the mirrors on it because taking it to shows, the mirrors always get knocked off. Then you go into there was 3 Black Widows in that collection. The 2 Black Widows in the middle are riders. They are both all original paint bikes. I've changed both motors out on them. I have the original motor sitting aside. The Black Widow that is by itself, that is a fully original bike. It's never been messed with. Somebody did stick a Schwinn bicycle headlight on it back in 1971 when they bought the thing. So it's kind of kind of neat. And then of course the white Rupp Roadster, that's my parade bike. That's what we use. I still run that in different parades and stuff around around the area. That's my police bike. It does have red and blue LEDs on it, for during the mini bike show, chase people down for doing something wrong. I can get them because that's actually a 5-horse engine in that one with it's been built a little hot, so I can move pretty well on that bike.
The long arm of the law.
That's right. So then you've seen the Arctic Cat collection. That's pretty much my pride and joy there. There's in the picture now you have the Rupp frames, the 69 Rupp Roadsters. Those are in there. Then you've seen the collection of the Fox Campus bikes. They start in 1962 with the 2 red ones and go up to 1968. Those projects I'm hoping to get done here very shortly, working on getting the exhaust pipes made, for those bikes. That's the Ruttman chopper there. There was a couple Coleman, the Coleman mini bikes from 1971 and 72, the Coleman Sport 530 and the 240. There's the Arctic Cats, the Screamers in the middle there, the Prowlers in the picture right now, the Ramrod down at the end. Arctic Cat, of course, made bikes from 1970 to 72. On the other side of those bikes, you see the Hondas. That orange Honda 70 is a 1970 4-speed bike. It has 93 miles on it. Down a little bit farther, there was another bike, the ZB50. That was a special bike in 1988 that came through. That bike has never been ridden. Shows 1.9 miles, I believe, on it. So kind of some different stuff there. Then, of course, I still have the Whizzer, the Cushmans. Then you get into my parts bike collection. Parts bike or bikes for sale or good riders. Those are all down in some of that. You'll see the junkyard picture, and then that's a soapbox derby car up on top. In the back corner up there, you see a Rupp Gremlin. That was one of their go-karts, their giveaway cars for AMC. They also did a Jeep CJ5, and they did the couple other carts. A Subaru Brat. They built a Subaru Brat. I have one of those that's sitting at a Subaru dealership here in town. There's the Rupp Gojo. There's a Model A Sport Coupe underneath that. There's a Goat Wagon up there. There's a 1970 Challenger TA.
Yeah.
346 pack car. And there was a Porsche 356 in there. And then the car in the back corner was a 1947 Delahaye, which is a French built car. One more back back in the corner. That one. That's a 1947 Delahaye. It's built in France. Custom bodied car. It's bodied by Brandome, and there's only two Brandome bodies in the United States. And I actually have that car plus the other car as a parts car. So it's a lifelong restoration project that I would love to finish, but I don't know if I'll ever have the time and money to do it. So that's a big deal there.
So a lot of Mopar fans here on this show also, because every Wednesday, Rob, Mike, and a couple of other friends of theirs do the Muscle Car podcast.
Okay.
So we'll have to get you on that show. So that's every Wednesday night on these same channels. If you out there in viewership or are interested in muscle cars, every Wednesday.
Well, that would be neat.
Yes, please come by and check it out.
Be thrilled to do that. So,
all right.
Okay.
Why don't we breeze through some of the comments, see what we've got going on, and then we'll check where we are in the schedule.
Yes, we've got John Brannon saying, "Hey guys, love looking at Jeff's collection and parts." He suggests it's even better to see it in person at the Make Windber event. So that's definitely something to put on the calendar. We're going to be looking at that a little later. Mike Bartlett says, "Wow, that's a great collection." Ed Kubiez says, "Yikes, digging the early orange Rupp and Dad's go-kart. Topper is cool."
Yeah.
Joe Abate says, "Hi, hello Ben. Sorry I'm a few minutes late. No worries." Wes Parker says, "Hello everyone. Good evening." Curtis Weatherby says, "Wow, just wow," and I second that. He also Wes Parker also says, "Very nice collection," and then saw the Scat Kitty. Had one when I was young. That's Curtis Weatherby weighing in on that.
Yes. Yep.
Cool. So we are
Very
caught
nice.
up on the comments.
All right. So we are at that point. If you are ready, Rob, to do our announcements and our answers.
Questions for Jeff first.
Well, that's actually probably a good idea too, right?
Jeff, do you have your
Go ahead.
original Arctic Cat?
Yes.
Oh, you do? Okay. Just before they showed that car and the Porsche, there was a mini bike with bags on it.
Right.
What was that?
That is my original Arctic Cat SSS Cat that I had from when I was 5 years old. And many years ago, I found a set of new old stock saddlebags and paid more for the saddlebags than we did for the bike when it was new. So, but had to put them on the bike because it was something that was always hanging in the dealership out the road here. But, they wanted $29 for those. And, just couldn't afford, when I was 5 years old, I didn't have $29 to buy those saddlebags. So
And did I see one with a sidecar on it?
you saw the,
Frame?
there was a Honda 50. There was a Honda 50 in there with a factory sidecar on it.
Yeah.
1969. And I have title tags and original bill of sale from the Honda dealership on that one.
That's
that has it that it came with the sidecar.
Wow.
Nice.
Right from the Honda dealer.
That's a great collection.
And I'm great to have a friend here who worked at that Honda dealer at Alvin's Honda Sales here in Windber, Pennsylvania from 1968 through 1976. So, and then he went on, it became a car dealership, and he went on and stayed with the car dealership until he retired. So he worked there his entire life. And he's the one who builds my Honda engines for me. Because he can build them in his sleep. He built them when they were new. So,
I like the way the Arctic Cat did the seats, just like the Snowmobile with the leopard.
Yes,
on it.
yes,
is
it's
nice.
great.
That really finishes it off.
Yes.
Yes, makes it distinctive. And we've got a question that's come in. Jeff Nunali says he has a 67 Rupp Continental Custom Electra, and he needs an original motor for it. Wondering what a fair price would be for one. And he's also complimenting you on your collection. Says it's an awesome collection you have.
Well, it's hard to say. You got to find one first, and it depends what the guy wants for it. But a fully rebuilt engine, you're looking at $400 to $800. I have a 66. I don't have a 67. So, I can't help you with a 67 engine, but the early engines are getting hard to find, but they're out there.
good information. Thank you.
Was there a lot of crossover between the parts from those early years into the later years?
As far as for the engines, yes. As far as for the bikes changed so much, through the years, especially with Rupp, because it was one of the biggest corporations out there, building bikes. I mean, some years there was, 10 different models to choose from. So, you have everything from a little simple build it yourself kit all the way up to, the full blown motocross bike or the full-blown street legal bike, because they were street legal back in that time frame.
Of your Arctic Cats and your Rupps, which ones are you still lacking?
I've just about had all the Rupps over the years, so I really, I've sold a lot of my collection, sold some of my collection off. I still have, my prime pieces. The Arctic Cats, I do have the full collection of all 4 bikes of the 1970, all 4 bikes of the 71, and 3 of the bikes from 72. There's a 4th bike in 72, which they're really not sure if it was actually produced or it was just in the paperwork catalog. But we do have some parts that have the part numbers for that bike, but I've never seen a complete Cub.
What was the model on that one?
It was called the Arctic Cat Cub. So,
what's your favorite one to ride?
The bigger bikes are easier to ride, but the smaller bikes are, still some of the favorites because they're just so interesting. It's.
Do you have any positions open for bike testers?
For what? I'm sorry.
Bike tester.
Oh. Well, we can.
I bet we could have a dozen people at your door by morning.
Oh, I know. So, but I still.
Right, well, that's an awesome collection for sure.
Okay.
Cool. And we've got comments coming in here, and then we'll get to Rob. But John Love is saying, Jeff is a very good friend. I live half an hour from him. He got me started in mini bikes 18 plus years ago. Went from 1 mini bike to 7 buildings. We've got to get him on the podcast too. Yeah. I'd love to have a look at those. Whit Pearson says, great show, world-class collection, and thank you for sharing. And John Komar says, I'm in at 345 pounds, LOL, to test the mini bikes.
Well, there used to be an Arctic Cat ad that had a very heavy man on a Arctic Cat climber, and I can't remember what it said. It was I think it said the heavyweight.
I think I remember seeing that.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter. It's always funny. The bigger the guy, the smaller the bike.
Of course.
All right, so we will bring Rob to full screen and go time.
Okay, I'm here to tell you a little bit about our Amsoil products. Mike and Ben all of us are Amsoil dealers, and we distribute one of the top line lubricants on the world. Amsoil, our 5W30 signature oil, is good for 25,000 miles or 1 year. Pours at 60 below zero, runs 20 to 50 degrees cooler, cuts down friction and drag so engines last longer, and you get better fuel economy. It's a cheaper oil to run than petroleum oil. But for the mini bikes, you don't want that. You want an oil with a high zinc because of the cam, rockers, and lifters. Now, you still want the benefit of the synthetic. It'll cut down friction and drag. The engine will last longer. Better performance. It's better for rust. So by running a small engine oil with the zinc in it, it makes the engine run smoother, quieter, and more performance out of it. Now, some of the bikes, not too many of them, have a clutch in it and gears and all that. So you need a one with a friction modifier for the clutch. But most of them are certificate dry, so all you need is a small engine oil. But we do have that available. And a lot of problems people are having nowadays is the ethanol. People are saying, well, I'm buying super. Guess what? They're putting ethanol in super now. So we have a product called Quick Shot, and eliminate the ethanol problem. So if your bike's sitting for a while, the gas won't separate it. And Amsoil has a really neat program where you can sign up as a preferred account. Ben should have a thing here where you can click on and you can get a free catalog, or you can sign up. And in our book, we actually have the prices in there of the products. So you can tell, oh, where is the price? Yeah, you can look up the exact price and it'll show you how much retail should be for the product. And it'll also tell you what the preferred customer is, which is almost 25%. So if you're buying a whole case of oil, you can save $40, and they'll ship it right to your door free. So for more information about the AMSOIL, Ben should have a link that clicks and goes right to him, and he'll help you out with the information you need.
Well, thank you, Rob. Yes, we do have down in the comments, there is the information to find my referral number, as well as the link where you can click to get your catalog and become a preferred customer. I appreciate you doing that, Rob. All right.
One last thing on AMSOIL is we've got the AMSOIL promotion. We don't want to forget that.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Order $100 worth of product, you get free shipping, plus they're going to throw in the detail cleaner for you. So they're always helping you out with a product to try a new product when you order AMSOIL.
And that works great on all those vinyl mini bike seats and things like that.
Excellent. All right. Thank you, Rob. So let's see where we are. We are now down to the Windber Minibike Reunion. And I'm going to bring you full screen for a moment, Jeff. And maybe you can tell us a little bit about how that all got started.
Well, 25 years ago, I used to do all the antique car shows. So we were at Carlisle one year, and there was a couple guys standing around talking about the mini bikes, with me, and they said we ought to have a show for ourselves. We have all these antique car shows out there. I was like, well, I said, let's do it. Let's do this. And I said, we'll host it at my place. I have the property to do it. I have a couple buildings that we can utilize. And I said, let's do it. So the first year we had 9 people. 9 people came from, one guy came in from New Jersey, a guy came up from Maryland. There was a couple guys from Pittsburgh area and from Carlisle area. So we had nine guys there in total. And next year we sort of publicized it a little bit. I think I put it in remember the Walnix magazine. I put it in Walnix. I put it in a couple other publications. I think Old Cars Weekly featured it and Hemmings featured it. And the next year we had about 100 people there. So it really grew. It really grew quickly, the first, second year. And then from there on, we just kept expanding. And at one point we had almost 500 people here. And it was almost too much for us to handle. It's my wife Dawn helps me out, my son Nathan, my daughter Sarah, her husband Matt. My mom and dad always helped, of course. But it was 500 people was a lot. I do have 50 acres here. We have about 22 acres that we, put all the campers and stuff on. I have 3 miles of trails cut up through the fields. We used to do a parade in the past, which unfortunately insurance purposes don't let us do the parade. But we have a flea market here. I have stuff available for sale. I see Jim Keiss was on there a little while ago, saying hello. He has come out and vended here. There's a couple other individuals who come out and vend, and it's just a great. It started out basically as a kids event. Is what I wanted. Get the kids involved. Have them restore a mini bike and get it, put it in the show. Mom and dad can help, big brother can help, make sure it's safe and secure. But I want the kid, I don't care if they're 5 years old or 10 years old, I want the kids to paint it. I want the kids to put it together. I want the kids to know everything. I had one boy, he did a PowerPoint presentation. He ended up putting that in. He was featured at one of the Hershey AACA national meetings to put his display up there. I have another boy who used to come to the mini bike show. He's now building IndyCar race engines. So started out with Tecumseh, and now he's doing IndyCar stuff. I got another boy. He's a chef on a cruise ship. Got girls building bikes. I have one girl who she's one of the top mechanics of one of the Japanese bike dealers down in West Virginia. So the kids is my focus. Get them started with the bikes. They can move forward onto cars, onto other things, and be in these hobbies that unfortunately are getting older and older people involved. But get the kids involved. We have a future. But but the mini bike show, it's just something we love to do. This year we had a whole different theme going on. My son and daughter, we've had this property since the mid 1930s. It was my grandparents' farm. My son-in-law and daughter have decided to bring the farm back. So this year our theme for the mini bike show is the rodeo. So we play games with the kids, and when I say kids, they're anywhere from 3 years old to 80 years old. So
Nice.
so we had a roping contest. You had to ride your mini bike and then get off your mini bike and then rope the steer. We did the barrel races. So and then we had a cow pie toss. So yeah, we had a little bit of fun, but check out the video that's here online. You can go on YouTube and watch some other videos from the past. I'm sorry, I am very bad at getting videos put together and getting that type of stuff out there. I just don't have the time to do it myself, and we are too close to an airport here, so our drone situation is totally restricted. I actually have a drone pilot here who is trying to get a restriction lifted so he can do a drone over again next year for us, but the airport is too close and they're giving us all sorts of grief with that. But he's still working on that. So hopefully we can get some other footage and stuff in here of the overhead shots of the trails and stuff. It's pretty impressive. It runs through the fields, it runs up through the woods, it runs out the pipeline, out the gas line, back along the power line, and there's a group here who has every section of the trail named for some reason or another. This is where Joey crashed. This is where this happened, or this is broken leg corner where the guy broke his leg. And we got this is Florida because it's a great big circle loop, bottom loop, and it's just these kids have so much fun. There's a lot of switchbacks. I've had in the past some guys who used to ride motocross and stuff, and they said this is the toughest trail that we have ever ridden on because it's made for a mini bike. It's not made for, if you bring a big bike, you're out of luck. I recommend suspension. 71, 72 Rupp is a great bike. The Honda 70s are great. Any of that style or size bike is great for the adults. The kids love the little stuff, but it's through the woods and through the trails. So there's a lot of switchbacks and straightaways and some rough areas, but everybody loves it.
Neat.
So check out the video and we'll talk afterwards.
Well, we'll run some footage of some today's. This was past Father's Day weekend. We'll run some of that footage and then we'll talk about that a little bit more.
Okay.
Very nice. And now we also have some footage of that rodeo too. Let me show that really quick, and then we'll talk about this a little bit. Hang on here. Okay.
Got it.
Come on, Bob, you got
So
Good, clean fun right there.
Yeah, it looked it was a little harder than it looked at starting point. I didn't think it was going to be that difficult, but it was so much fun. I mean, we had, as you can see, the adults were right in there with it, and we wanted them to take the rope with it, but we figured that somebody's going to be so tangled up they're not going to know what to do. So it was so funny. We left the rope lay on the ground at the beginning there, and run their bike around the barrel and come back to the rope, pick it up. And I told them all right at the beginning, grab the rope by the knot. Grab the rope by the knot. That way you can, turn it and you can throw it. Well, they would pick the rope up by the end, and they didn't have just a straight rope in their hand, trying to figure out what to do with it. And it was just a riot. Then of course you seen we had an ice cream social there at the end. That was great. We had a good time for that. We have a banquet dinner. Saturday night. This year we had a cow pie toss. So I got these frisbees made, and of course we had to throw the frisbee to a target, and whoever got the closest to the target won. Their prize for that was next year's mini bike reunion was paid for. So it worked out real nice. And then I also gave an award. I gave an award for the person who had the farthest away from the can. Again, that was my first award. I said, "Okay, let's see who has the farthest away." And everybody like, "You said it was going to be the closest." I was like, "Well, I have a special award for the farthest." So pulled the farthest one away, and I said, "Here's your money back. Pretend you didn't even play." So yeah, so we do have a lot of fun.
that's great.
It's and as you've seen, I have the pavilion there. I have 4 bathrooms in the pavilion. I have 4 full showers. A full kitchen is in there, so we are able to take care of. We can seat 75 people easily inside the pavilion. We can get 100 in there if we have to, but it's so we are set up to handle the people. So it's a great event.
And you
So.
encourage people to camp.
Yes, yes. Most of the people come in, bring a camper, and park it there for the weekend. And it's just a great, they're there for the whole time. Normally in the evening, weather, the one evening, weather was trying not to cooperate with us, but we normally do a Congo line, every year. So I get started, drive around the aisles of people and say, get your bike, get on, let's ride the trail. And I think at one point we had 70 or 75 bikes in a line running the trails together. So, and
Nice.
then the thunder and lightning was out in the distance. We could watch it coming, and till we got done off the trail, it was, starting to rain. So everybody scrambled back to their, campsite. So, and then of course we have a bonfire at night, and it just has a lot of fun. Yeah, I see Karen had a notation there. Greatest show on earth. Thanks, Karen. So, but yeah, it's a lot of people come and then they come back. I mean, we've had people come from California. A group of them drove out, and the other half of them flew out, and then they swapped out once they got here. And then when they went home, the group that flew out drove back, and the group that drove out flew back. So it works out. We've had customers and people, friends come down from Nova Scotia. It's just been at one point in time, one year we had 33 states represented.
Wow.
So it's a big event. it's a big event, and it's probably the biggest mini bike event that's out there, featuring the vintage mini bikes. And
Excellent.
that's what we're
And
really.
can you give us the date, location, all those gory details real quick? In case
It'll be
anyone's just joining us?
Father's Day weekend next year, which will be June, I believe it's 18th through the 21st or 18th through the 20th. It's here in Windber, Pennsylvania, and you can contact myself, send me an email, whatever, and I can get that information out. So yeah, Randy comes 500 miles from Massachusetts, so
Yeah.
there's a lot of devoted people who come to this, and everybody, and they don't bring one bike. That's the funnest part of it. They bring a trailer full of 10 to 15, 20 bikes. So when one breaks down, they can get right on the other. But we have the means here to fix whatever they need fixed. So there's mechanics here and people here to help fix whatever's needed. So it's great.
That's really cool. Anything like this in Canada, Rob?
Not that I heard of. Even when you talked about doing the show, I'm thinking, well, mini bikes aren't that popular. But once you mention it, the next car show, there was a pickup truck with a mini bike in the back.
Yes.
And this weekend, I did an antique tractor and snowmobile show, and there were 6 mini bikes there.
Yeah.
So once
Yeah,
you
they're-
mentioned it, I started looking around. There is a lot of people up here that's starting to redo them.
Yes,
Yeah,
there are.
It's a growing trend to have that crossover at the other shows for sure.
Yes.
Definitely. So Mike, we have a lot of comments that have come in. I know you've scrolled some of them. Why don't we catch up on comments?
Yes, let me find my place here. We had Mark Nardella saying nice. We've got a mutual friend, Tim Bewick, saying great collection. Phil Bresnick says hello from Pittsfield, Massachusetts. Vintage Motocross Q&A live feed says, where is this event? What state is it in? Which we just talked about. And then Randy Gumpet answered him saying Windber, PA. Jason Bradshaw says you'll have to come to the Pate swap meet.
I used to do the Pate swap meet 30 years ago.
Wow.
Out in Texas.
And Jason, if you have any details on that, please post in the comments here. I'll put it up on the screen so everyone can see it and learn more about that. Karen Kraus says greatest show on earth, talking about that event. Mike Castle says sounds like fun. Randy Gumpet says he goes from Massachusetts 500 miles for him to do that trip. And Mike Castle says, I bring my mini bike to local car shows, and so far I've been the only one there, but they all seem to appreciate it in Michigan. Cool deal. So yeah, maybe it's a growing trend, and hopefully we can put a little wind in that sail and inspire more people to do that.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so let's see where we're at. I think we're still, I've got one more clip from the mini bike reunion from years past when the parade was still possible, and I'll show that clip, and then we'll continue with some more show and tell with Jeff. So let me start that video, and we will see you on the other side. was absolutely great.
Yeah, that I believe was from 2017, and we had over 170 bikes in that parade. Needless to say, we tied up the town for quite a while. They have their own parade. What we used to do, we used to go down into town, set up in front of on the main street. They had food vendors and stuff down there. We'd go down, spend a couple hours with the bikes on display on the street, and then when the parade was actually coming through, we would get on our bikes and get out of town. And a lot of times we took a side trip. So we were on the main roads. One year we took a 14-mile ride out to a local body shop friend who was a big NASCAR collector. And another year we went out to another guy who had vintage gas pumps, memorabilia, stuff like that, and pinball and arcade games. And I told everybody, whatever you do, don't touch anything. Treat this as a museum, because that's what it is. We get to his parking lot. He said, "Everything's turned on. Come on in and go play." So, that's just the type of people that we deal with, and everything went so well. But we do have a follow-up vehicle, a chase vehicle, to pick up the bikes that break down, and it's always a lot. So. But the parade used to be a lot of fun, but with insurance purposes, we just can't do it anymore. So.
Too bad. It was definitely a lot of fun. And as you mentioned earlier, there are a lot of videos online for sure on the Windber Minibike Reunion. So I encourage anyone to check it out. Also, we should plug your Facebook page. You have started a Minibike Reunion page.
Right.
And we'll make sure that link is down in the description for the future.
Yes, there's a link in the description. I put it there myself.
Okay, good. Okay.
Excellent. Rob, what do you think of that? Can we get that going on in Canada?
Great. I lost count after 70, but over 100.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
A couple of trikes. Were they the Rupsters?
They're everything. There's SOBs. There's all sorts of. Everybody made a trike. There were so many trikes out there, and different four-wheelers also. It gets into everything. We used to have the go-karts come here. There's just not the area to ride them. That's the problem.
It looked like one guy had a little trailer he was pulling. Size
yes.
of a cooler.
Yep.
Was that factory?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Oh, no.
But.
Excellent.
Okay.
Well, it's the conga line is something I saw on YouTube too. That looked like a lot of fun.
Yes.
Getting everybody on their bikes at the same time, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So we've got some more comments that have come in. Mike, can you catch us up with that, please?
Yes. Let's see. This one we did. But we've got Karen Kraus paying a nice compliment to us. She says that parade is the coolest thing ever, and I have to agree.
Karen's probably participated in that one or more.
She got to ride in the parade for many years.
Nice.
Excellent. So we are now up to some more show and tell, Jeff.
Okay.
So let me run some more footage. And you had sent me some other images of some content, and we'll start actually with this very cool item here.
Those are stock Arctic Cat helmets and some Rupp helmets. That is a Arctic Cat 1971 whisker up on top, and then down below it, inside of the box, is a 1971 whisker. Never been assembled. I have actually the man who put that bike in the box. I have his picture, and he has re-signed all the papers inside of that box.
Oh, wow.
To designate that thing is 100% original.
Wow, that's super cool.
Yeah, I found that bike on eBay probably the first year eBay started. I found that bike, so that was about 1988 or 87, somewhere around that time frame.
Wow,
it was up in Michigan, and the
those
guy
helmets different than Snowmobile helmets.
And the guy spelled Arctic Cat wrong. He spelled ARTIC. He missed the one C in Arctic. So nobody found it but me, and I didn't meet his reserve, but I went up and picked the bike up and paid them dearly for it at that point in time.
No kidding.
But
No kidding. So I've got some other clips we'll show from some
okay.
of your collection still. And this is the mini bike guide. And we were talking about that a little earlier. And I'd like to plug my friend Mike Castle, who has indexed all of the mini bike guides. He has a Facebook page, Mini Bike Guide. And he's somewhat of a statistician. So he really did a nice job archiving all of the magazines and also indexing. And there's a searchable index he has through his site. I highly recommend it if you're looking for information from the Mini Bike Guide. That's a great resource.
Yeah, I have them all in my head. I don't know, the guide to that will be very helpful because I just can't remember where everything's at anymore. And I do have most of the mini bike magazines from 69 through about 75, when it turned into Mini Cycle and stuff like that. But there is, that's the one there featuring the 1970 Rupp, the Chibis. There was that one back in the middle there that had the 31 specifics on. That was a Christmas guide, right in the middle, right, that one there was 31 tests, and that's a pretty informative magazine right there. It gives a lot of different bikes. But through the mini bike guides and through some other information, I have come up with over 300 different North American made mini bikes.
Wow.
Then you get into the Italian stuff and the Japanese stuff. So there is, that's manufacturers. They may only manufactured for 3 months, but they're still considered a manufacturer out there. So there's a lot of history and a lot of different oddball bikes that you never get to see.
Very interesting, and probably an extremely helpful resource in restoration work, I imagine.
It is, yes.
All right, so we've got another clip of some awesome memorabilia.
I have bought out many different Rupp dealers over the past 30, 40 years. The Mini Bike Mania there, that was at the Hershey, Pennsylvania AACA Museum. That's the Christmas stocking that if you bought a Honda 50 or a Honda 70 for Christmas, you could buy the stocking to put it in. That's when the QA 50, the 70, and the 50. That next article right there with the Rupps showing the Centaur and showing the Gojo on it, that is actually wallpaper. I have a full roll of that wallpaper. I'm trying to figure out what to do with it, what room to put it in.
Yeah.
So that's the sign for to save on your layaway plan. Layaway or up and pay for it for the next couple months. There's some of the different model kits, some of the Rupp jackets, the Arctic Cat jackets, the Rupp poster. Back in I'm gonna say 84, 85, I met Mickey Rupp at one of the antique car shows. I had a bike on display and he came over, we talked. I ended up restoring a Black Widow for him back in the early 80s. And that really, at that point, really didn't know who Mickey Rupp was. I just restored a bike for him, and that was that. But over the years, we did keep in touch, and did some other things, help him find some parts for some of the other guys who helped restore bikes for him. But it was a really neat feature to be able to do a bike for Mickey. So but
that's really cool for sure.
But I probably have 80 bikes in museums throughout the country that I have done for customers who they've ended up in museums. So I do a lot of personal restoration here, both for myself and for customers' bikes.
Are Rupps the most popular mini bike, or did Bombardier ever make one?
I'm not sure if Bombardier actually made a mini bike. There was quite a few different Canadian mini bikes that were made. I'm not sure if Motorski was part of the Bombardier line or not, but I know Motorski was Canada. There was a couple other. There was that Aranthracite bike that was an electric bike that was made back in 1971. It used a big car battery on it. but that was, that was way ahead of its time.
Mm.
Back in 1970s, they had an electric mini bike. So,
Wow.
but
Just
that was
yeah, the moto scooter is the only one I can think about, and I'm not positive if Bombardier owned them at that point. Maybe one of our viewers knows, and I've seen through the Facebook pages, I've seen a couple really nice moto
right.
scooters. They're a really nice bike.
And I'm pretty sure it's featured in one of the mini bike magazines, but I can't think which one.
Yeah.
That'll be a friend. That'll be a question for our friend Mike Castle. Maybe
There you
Mike can
go.
comment
Yes.
with that.
Yes.
We have one more clip, but why don't we catch up on comments? I think we have a few more that have come in, and then we'll
Okay.
show that last clip, and then we're
Yes.
at the top of the hour, so we'll wrap it up here pretty quick after that.
Okay.
Sure. We've got Ken Crozier saying, hello, Ben. Good to see you this past weekend. And yeah, we were pretty much caught up on the comments.
Okay.
But I wanted to add, you were talking about Bombardier. You're probably aware of this, but I think it was the mid 70s or so. They came out with a Can-Am brand of full-size dirt bikes. We had one when I was a teenager, but that's of course those are full-size bikes. They're probably not considered mini bikes or in that space.
Right.
But they did get into bikes at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Most likely offered a smaller one, but I'm not positive they offered a 50cc because there was a class for that with the other manufacturers.
Right.
Sure. So I think they had 125s, 175s, 250s.
Yeah.
And they were well-respected dirt bikes for
Yes, they
full-size dirt bikes.
All right, so let's run this last clip, and this is just some stills that you provided to me, Jeff. So why don't you just talk about those as we go through if anything grabs your fancy.
That's a Honda Chrome Special. Next one, I believe, is an MR50 Elsinore Honda. Those are some 69 Rupp Roadsters that I'm in the process of building. I have one of each color. All the engines are done. Those are miscellaneous parts for some 71, 72 Rupp bikes. There's some sack side covers. I offer a service here of, I was doing bead blasting and then powder coating. I have now got into the vapor blasting. So I can do the vapor blasting, and then you don't have to paint if you don't want to. You can just leave it raw. There's actually some of the pieces that are vapor blasted as far as the aluminum, but the black was powder coated. There's some of the wheels, some of the Arctic Cat wheels, Manco wheels, brake hubs and stuff like that. I normally powder coat most of those. Engine tins and stuff like that. Of course, bead blast everything, and then do the paint work on that stuff. There's some more of the 69 Roadsters on parts together for them. Haven't gotten very far. That's a 2018 Monkey. Everybody knows about the 19s, but that one is titled. That one got titled December 29th of 2018. Those are the mini bike decals there. My wife does have a sign shop, so she does all my mini bike decals for me. They all are, pressure, peel and stick decal, but they are gas, gasoline safe. They won't rub off. And she does all what you see there, and then she can do anything else that, as long as we have some artwork for it, a good picture with dimensions, we can make those decals up. We are doing some of the Bonanza stuff now. We do all the Rupp stuff, the Arctic Cat, the Tecumseh. There's one of my Arctic Cat signs. Little Indian sign should be up above that thing. Yeah, Little Indian sign, another Arctic Cat sign up there. Those are all magazines, Popular Mechanics, Road and Tracks, the Sack Service sign, the Tecumseh sign. Yeah, and that's the famous junkyard. That all is actually stored inside. It only comes out for the mini bike show, and everything gets put back away. So at one point I was up to about 300 bikes in the junkyard, down considerably now to probably about 50 or 60 bikes. It's time to start restocking, but you got to figure, 30, 40 years ago, you could buy these bikes, a complete running bike for $50 to $100. And, but today, today you can't even buy a parts bike for that. So
Yeah.
I've, got lucky. I collected them when they were, reasonable.
Good investment.
This is my full-time business. We deal in antique auto parts from the late 1800s up through the early 1980s. I do clips and fasteners, window channel, weather stripping. Um, we do everything from the, antique top fasteners for the horse and buggies up through, the weather strip kits for the complete weather strip kits for the 60s, 70s, 80s cars. All your weird clips and fasteners, weird trim screws, body bolts, cage nuts. And then we make a lot of our own rubber products. We do all the body mounts, door bumpers, stuff like that. And then that led into mini bike division starting off, and I make some of the different rubber products for the mini bikes, some of the twist grip assemblies, some of the foot peg covers, the Sachs pull start handles, the gas tank mounts, the fork tubes. I just did the Bonanza fork tubes. I know a lot of guys are looking for the Bonanza fork tube covers. I just did the big one that takes the clip to hold it in place. Haven't made the clip yet, but I do have the rubbers at least. Um, and everybody says, "How did you find all these mini bikes?" Well, that sign right there, my wife made me that sign probably 30 years ago. And that sign goes with me to every car show and to every, bike show that I go to. And I just set that out with my bikes. And everybody who walks by has a story. And they had one of these bikes when they were little, they wanted one, whatever. So it's kind of neat. And one other thing that we were talking about previously is the fiberglass. Is the fiberglass parts, some of the fiberglass parts that some of the guys are making, John Brennan, in fact. And what we're doing is we are chroming the fiberglass and the old original headlights. We found a way to strip the original chrome out of there, and that is the original plastic that you're seeing inside of there. It does not hurt the plastic at all, but it does take all the old chrome off. And this one, unfortunately, was done twice. You can't really see it, but you can still read the Rupp insignia on the back. So we're doing the chrome plating. Um, if you can see in the corner here, we're able to do the plating in any of these colors. So, we can pretty much customize whatever you're looking for to do something like that.
Totally amazing.
And then one other thing that we're making is the simple reflectors. Arctic Cat used a reflector that does not match anything that's out there right now. So I have a guy right now molding the plastic reflectors for me in the right dimensions. So I'm able to, being in the automotive industry, I'm able to get a lot of stuff found and made, weird fasteners, weird screws, weird clips, to hold some of these parts together that, just don't exist anymore.
That's super cool.
So we're trying to keep the hobby going.
Yeah, great resource.
Yes.
So the hobby is going to be alive and well into many years. And you touched
Yes.
on earlier the need to bring youth in, and I
Yes.
couldn't agree with you so much more. I mean, that's
Right.
really the future, and we need to encourage that. So I'm glad you're doing that.
Yeah, my grandson was here earlier, and he wanted to be on the podcast, but I wouldn't have got a word in edgewise with him.
Yeah.
Aaron sounds like a sharp kid. Like he really knows his mini bike stuff.
Yeah, he's learning quickly, and he retains the knowledge, so he's a lot of fun. So,
Excellent.
he loves to ride. So, okay.
What did
You
you guys
guys
think
do-
of that stuff? That chrome on fiberglass. Can you imagine? Wow.
Yes. Yeah, it's really nice. It's a Spectrachrome product, so it is a really good process. The guy who does it for me is only 4 miles away from me, so it's I can get stuff to him, and he's very quick, very quick with the product. So it's a great service.
Nice.
For anyone interested in reaching out to Jeff, I'll put his contact information up again, and I believe it's down in the comments anyway. And he obviously has a wealth of knowledge, and I have every reason to believe that if you need something, he will point you in the right direction if he can't help you directly. So definitely reach out.
Yeah, we've got a few last minute comments that have come in. John Brannon says, I love the junkyard bikes that come back to win ribbons.
Oh yes. Yeah,
Yes.
that's a big deal. In the past, it's a lot of fun. I have all the junkyard bikes out there, and the kid, here it is back to the kids. The kids will be looking at stuff, and they come down with their parents, and the kids will come back down, and I'll talk to the kids and see what they're doing. And most 9 times out of 10, I'll just give the kid the bike and say, here, after I talk to their parents first to make sure it's okay, I just give the kid the bike with the plan that he or she is bringing that bike back next year, finished, that they can ride it. In fact, this year we had a boy who was looking at a bike, and it was a project bike, but it was a running bike several years ago. In fact, we used it to test the Tecumseh Pistons when we had the Tecumseh Pistons made. So the bike was painted, it was presentable, the engine was off of it, torque converter was off of it, and the engine needed some carburetor work done because the engine was sitting for a couple years. So I said, do you think you can get this bike running by the show tomorrow? And he just looked at me funny, and I was like, do you think you can get this bike done for the show tomorrow? He said, why? I said, do you think you can get it done? He's like, yeah, his uncle was there and stuff. And he said, yeah, I think we can get this done. I said, okay, the bike's yours if you can get it done for the show tomorrow. So later that evening, he was riding the bike. So he got it in the show the next day, and it was just a lot of fun. So
and he'll
like
remember that his whole life, I'm sure.
Exactly. Yep. Keep the kids involved. That's the whole key to it. Yep. So
then we've got John Love saying, don't overlook that junkyard. I pulled an Arctic Cat out of there that I ride today.
yeah.
Nice.
Very cool.
Yep.
And then James Kais says, great show tonight. I wonder if he's any relation to the snowmobile racer Deborah Kais. I've heard her name come up quite a bit in the vintage snowmobile circles.
Okay.
Also, Ed Kubiez says, what prep do you suggest on a fiberglass part prior to sending in a part for chroming?
He does all the prep work. He does all the prep work because he is so particular of what he does. He wants it to be perfect before it goes out of here.
Sure.
Excellent. Well, let's go around and then we'll wrap it up here. So, okay. Closing thoughts. Rob?
I've never seen somebody with a collection so big of mini bikes. That's huge.
Thank you.
Great collection. It's a fun hobby to do, isn't it?
It is. It is. They always say mini bikes don't take up much room until you get 100 of them on display.
It was nice meeting you, Jeff.
Yes, you too.
Mike?
Yes, this was a whole lot of fun, Jeff. Really nice to meet you, and I look forward to talking to you about coming onto my Muscle Car podcast sometime.
Okay, we'll do that. Thank you again.
Yeah, definitely. Jeff, closing thoughts?
Well, I had a lot of fun. Wasn't sure what to expect out of a podcast. This is really the first podcast I've ever done. My son does them all the time, but I just put me in the garage. I'm a lot better off. But I had a good time. Hope everybody out there enjoyed the podcast, and thank you for having me on.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. Really, at this point, I'd like to again give kudos to Mike and Rob for supporting me in the podcast. This is really tremendous. Mike is showing me the behind-the-scene ropes, so I apologize for some of the production glitches. My extra thumb got in the way a couple of times, but it's a lot more going on behind the scenes than I ever realized. So I appreciate you greatly, Mike, for showing me these ropes and trying to guide me along in this. I'd also like to plug the other sister channels, if you will, through Mike's Wheels, Keels, and Snowmobiles and the Muscle Car podcast and a few other ones, as well as our Vintage Minibike Lovers page. We are broadcasting to 8 channels between Facebook and YouTube. So I thank you, Mike, for letting me do that, number one. But number two, if you are enjoying this, circle back on the second Sunday of the month. We've got the next podcast coming up on September 8th. We'll then be probably doing maybe one more show this season, and then we'll do some replays, and then we'll be picking it up again. But I really appreciated everybody's active participation today. We had a ton of viewer engagement, and thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. So with that, we'll close out the show, and I appreciate it so much. Thank you, everybody. Have a great evening.
Great show, Ben.
Thank you. See you in June.